Hey everybody, Charles for HumbleMechanic.com. Today we're talking recalls. This is episode 90 of the Humble Mechanic Podcast. So with the very recent trailing arm inlay recall and the water pump recall on GTIs and the pending clock spring recall on a ton of Volkswagens, I thought it would be a really good opportunity to talk about recalls, some of the pros and cons, and how customers see it and how technicians see it. But before we get into the show, let's talk about the sponsor of the day, which is Rain Eater wiper blades. Having good clear visibility out of your windshield is obviously incredibly important, and one of the keys to that is good quality wiper blades. So if you want a great quality wiper blade at an awesome price, check out Rain Eater wiper blades at raineater.com. They're actually the wiper blades that I have on my Passat that we're in right now. Alright, so even outside of the Volkswagen world, recalls have been a huge to-do lately. The ignition stuff with GM and all across the board, ton of recalls. The airbag thing with Honda. Recalls have been everywhere. And it's important to understand really what's going on with a recall. Volkswagen has all kinds of different things that they call updates. They call them required vehicle updates, they call them service actions, they call them service circulars, technical service bulletins. We're not going to get too deep into that. We're really just looking at the overall picture of recalls. Let's start off by looking at it from a customer standpoint. So initially when you hear my car has a recall, you think, great, now I got to take it into the dealership, I got to spend a whole day screwing around, getting it fixed, either sitting at the dealership waiting or making arrangements to drop your car off and have someone pick you up. So it can be a hassle. But the other side of that is really the better side of it. You're getting a repair for free. This clock spring recall is a great example. There's a ton of customers that I know have paid for this clock spring to be replaced. I've done a ton of them myself, both warranty and customer pay. When a recall is issued, you're getting that either taken care of because you have the problem, you're getting it preemptively taken care of before you have a problem, or you're getting reimbursed for something that you already paid for. So minus the hassle of having to take it to the dealership and deal with that and getting it fixed, it works out really well for the customer in my opinion. There's also one other thing that plays into it from a customer standpoint that I'm going to tie in at the end. But let's move on to a technician standpoint. There's a lot of technicians that hate doing recalls. And I'll be honest, there's been a few recalls that I've done over the years that I wasn't a huge fan of. What a lot of people don't know is dealerships generally charge a different rate for customers versus warranty. So let's make this really easy. If a warranty job pays 1 hour, no matter what the job is, it doesn't really matter. A lot of times a dealership will charge a customer an hour and a half. The warranty time is built on doing the job in the amount of time that it takes, and the hour and a half would be like a labor guide like ALLDATA or Mitchell's or something like that. That's an industry standard, right or wrong. I don't really have an opinion on it. It's the way it is. It's the way almost everyone does it. So if we go back to our clock spring example, now we're doing the job for less pay than we would be if the customer were paying for it. And most people wouldn't like to do a job for less time or less money than they would have normally. But I feel like that's a really short-sighted way to look at it. So the other side from a technician standpoint is that brings a ton of cars into the dealership. A ton of cars that either haven't been in for a while or maybe don't go to the dealership. Maybe they do their own maintenance. Maybe they take it to an independent shop. Maybe, they have their own guy that does the work. So this gets that customer out of that and into the dealership. One, it's work. It's jobs that we can do. It's repairs that we're making, so we're getting paid. This is gonna be a lot of vehicles that are covered under this clock spring recall, and it's gonna be a lot of vehicles that are 4, 5, 6 years old, some of which haven't been to the dealer in 3 or 4 years after their free maintenance ran out. So this is not only bringing another chance for a dealership to win back customers, to keep customers that they already had happy, but even to bring new customers. Let's say you live in Charlotte and you move to Chattanooga. Well, you haven't been to the dealership in Chattanooga, but you get a recall notice, so now you're going to take your car to the dealership in Chattanooga. Chattanooga dealership has a huge opportunity to really do a great job and win a new customer because of that recall. Without that recall, that dealership may have never had the opportunity to win that customer. So minus a little bit of pay difference for a job, it's a big win for a technician. Now, here's the part where the two tie together. It's a pro and a con, and depending on which side of it, you either really like it or you really hate it. And that's looking the vehicle over when it's in for service. It should be no secret to anybody that when a technician gets a car in the shop, they're looking it over. Not only customers are they looking it over for work that they can upsell, they're checking it for safety things. Things like brakes. That's a very important safety thing to look at. A customer may not know that they need brakes until it's too late, or maybe we can catch where we can replace just the pads or resurface the rotors before we have to actually replace the rotors because the pad is worn into the rotor. So it can be a cost-saving thing from a customer standpoint. Now, I know what you're thinking, Charles, they're just bringing me in so that they can upsell me stuff that I don't need and they're gonna rip me off. I understand. I understand how you feel. I understand the perception. I understand that these things happen. I'm not okay with it. I don't condone it. It pisses me off. It makes me so mad that I want to swear and throw things. And all I can do is tell you that I hope that you have a dealership that doesn't do that. I know that people feel like they're getting taken advantage of. This is why it's so important to understand where you're taking it. I've done shows about how to find the right person to work on your car. I'll try and put links in the show notes to some of those shows so you can watch them and check them out and understand there are a few techniques that you can use to really drastically reduce the odds of you getting recommended something that you don't need or feeling like you get taken advantage of. But it is important because most people don't either one, know what they're looking at, or two, don't have access to under their car. How would an average customer know to look to see if their CV boot's split? When I've worked on 100 of these cars, I know that I'm gonna check that, I'm gonna put it up in the air and look. I know that brake swearing in the rear are more prevalent than in the front. I know all these little things that tend to go wrong with cars. I'm gonna look at those things and make sure they're good. I'm also gonna look for oil leaks and coolant leaks. So I know the upselling thing makes customers uncomfortable. And remember, from a customer standpoint, have them show you what's going on, and you can always say no. You can always say, no, I'm not gonna do that. Thank you for looking at my car. I appreciate you taking the time. Or just simply say no, and don't feel bad about it. If you don't wanna get it fixed, if you don't have the money to get it fixed, you can't get it fixed. But from a technician standpoint, that's a huge thing for us. That is how we make a lot of our money, is by finding things wrong with cars and fixing them. Now, if we're good technicians and we're ethical and we care about our customers and we give a shit about what we do, we have no need to upsell things that customers don't need. None. I mean, cars break enough as it is. We have no reason to step outside of the bounds of what a customer actually needs and sell them that work. And I wish that, regardless of how we're paid and regardless of, customers trying to get free stuff done all the time, I wish that I could convey to all of the technicians out there how important it is to do right by your customers, take care of them. I know sometimes you're gonna lose, and I know sometimes that feels like it's not fair, and I agree that sometimes it's flat out not fair, but unfortunately this is the way the industry goes, and until the industry changes, those things aren't gonna change. So you have to make the change at the technician level and do right by your customers. So I'm sorry for the rant, but things like that really, they make me so mad when technicians do that to customers and make customers feel justifiably so like they're getting taken advantage of. Which is why I push so hard for people, if they're not going to do their own work, to have someone that they know and they trust and that they only take their car to that person. But back around to the recall front, I think recalls are a good thing. I think it's a great way for a manufacturer to recognize and admit they have an issue with a certain component, to step up, to do right by their customers, to take care of their customers, to take care of the bill associated with it, to give dealerships an opportunity to work hard and win customers that they may have lost back, or do right by the customers that have been good customers there, and to even win new customers. And it's a great way for you, the average driver, to not have to pay for a repair, and let's face it, that's awesome. So there you have it, my take on recalls. Question of the day, what do you think about recalls? All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up there. If you have any questions or comments, post it in the comments section below. Hey, if you like the video, throw it a thumbs up on YouTube. I always appreciate that. You can also subscribe on YouTube or on the blog at humblemechanic.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the blog, and obviously here on YouTube. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.